Hey friends, it's Brad Brain. I hope you're doing well. Do I have a story for you? Plenty of drama, but also a practical takeaway here. There's a message here that I think it would do well for a lot of people to reflect upon and how it impacts their own situation. So, a couple of months ago, I received this email from somebody, two-page email. The email concludes with this: please provide a written response within 30 days of receipt of this letter. If I do not receive a satisfactory response within that time, I will proceed with seeking legal counsel and pursuing further legal action. So, before you get too worried about it, know that this is actually not a letter from a client, and nothing really went wrong. In fact, there wasn't any products that were involved, no money was lost, and everything followed what it should have. Like, everything happened the way it should have. So what's the problem? Well, here's the irony in the situation. For 9 years, I served on the Insurance Council of British Columbia. And one of my main duties there was to sit on investigative review committees where there'd be an allegation of wrongdoing against an insurance agent. And it was our job to investigate it, figure out what happened, if it was an infraction or not, what we're going to do from there. A lot of times it's pretty simple stuff. You take some corrective action, relatively straightforward. But also I was involved with some career-ending decisions. And from this, another part of my career is often I'm asked to speak to financial advisors at conferences. I spoke all across the world, actually, all across Canada, the U.S., even in Asia, a number of times in Asia. So I took my experiences with the Insurance Council, working with the regulator here, and I took it into messages for advisors. Things that they could do to keep their own business practices beyond reproach. And one of my messages from these presentations is: you do not have to do anything wrong in order to get yourself in front of a regulatory body or the threat of being sued. All that has to happen is somebody thinks you've done something wrong. And it doesn't even have to be your client. It could be, in this case, an executor. It could be a beneficiary, it could be a spouse, it could be an ex-spouse, right? So there's the irony, is that I've been telling other advisors, and now a situation like this happens to me. But nothing went wrong in this case. In fact, here's the two-page official response to the complaint letter, and that's: after reviewing the matters you've raised, we are unable to identify any error, negligence, or failure to meet professional obligations. The outcomes you are dissatisfied with arise from statutory tax rules and binding contractual arrangements rather than from any improper advice or administration. What does that mean? Statutory tax rules, it means RIFs are taxable. What happened is, my client, she passed away, she had money in a RIF. RIF is taxable. And binding contractual arrangements, what that means is that my client named her 3 grown children as beneficiaries, and the executor wanted to override that, and the insurance company didn't. So we can't override the beneficiaries. The executor asked to have all the money paid to the executor, and the insurance company says, we've got beneficiary designations, it's going to the beneficiaries. So here we are. The drama part actually isn't this. The message here, the takeaway. It's what I've had to deal with for the last month or so made my month interesting. But the message here is, this potentially could have been avoided if the family was talking to each other. Because this is the part that I think got missed in all of the, to be fair, grief and emotions of losing your mom too, right? But the mom's financial objective, so she was a widow, her primary concern is she was going to be okay. She wanted to make sure that she had money, that she would never, she never wanted to worry about not having money, right? That was her concern. She wanted to make sure she was going to be okay. And we accomplished that by having products that had a guaranteed lifetime income stream on it. She was going to have money for the rest of her life, regardless of market volatility and regardless of longevity. Simply put, if she followed the plan, she would never run out of money. And any money that she doesn't spend would go to her beneficiaries. And all that stuff happened. And on top of that, the products did really, really well. She had lots of money in her accounts because we were able to manage the accounts with some success. So here's the issue, is that when you make a lot of money, that means there's a lot of money that can be taxed on. So yeah, it's true that the tax bill was high, but that's not necessarily an indication of a failure. it's more an indication of the client's priorities, because the client was never trying to maximize the after-tax estate to her grown children. She was trying to look after herself. And I think, perhaps, well, the benefit of hindsight, obviously, but if the family had ever sat down and discussed these things, then maybe the beneficiaries wouldn't feel that they got, shortchanged somehow after the taxes were taken from the estate. It's not just important for parents to talk to their children about what they want to see happen after they pass, but also children can initiate that conversation with the parents, right? Hey, mom, what do you want to have happen when you go? Right? Is there any special requests that you got? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? You got a family heirloom? You want to go to a special person? These type of conversations, they're good to have with family members. And it's another part about this too that I think would be useful is not just talking amongst the family, but making sure the professional financial advisors are involved too. There's, like I say, the details on this case are unimportant, but it makes a lot of sense for the financial planner to talk to the accountant and also to talk to the lawyer. So we've got a coordinated strategy, and so that everybody knows what they're doing. There's not these people get surprised after somebody passes, which is an emotional time. It really is. And it can, well, that kind of ties into my second point too. So the first point is, talk to your family. The second point is, just because somebody's related to you doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified to be your executor. Okay. Being an executor, it's a time-consuming job. It often will actually cost the executor money. They're paying for stuff out of their own pocket that they don't necessarily get reimbursed for. It can be a thankless job. It really is a big ask. And if somebody doesn't have financial literacy, if they're not willing to do the job in the first place, and even if they are financially literate and happy to serve, that doesn't necessarily mean they're ideal, because sometimes the family dynamics can get really, really strained. And I've seen this happen lots of times, unfortunately, where, there's hard feelings and even sometimes permanent rifts that come from somebody passing, and then, the family just can't agree on things after that. So there are professional executor services firms out there. And of course, they cost money, as all professional services do. But sometimes that little bit of money that you'll pay to a professional services firm can be the least expensive option of just otherwise consigning it to somebody just because they happen to be related to you, and then seeing what can happen from that. So there's my story for today. If you got any questions, let me know. I'm here to help. I'm Brad Brain. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.